Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Mike. You already know what is up and what is good. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the Pacers might have had the best offseason. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like they're the only team that had an offseason or a good offseason, but in terms of who they picked up for their team, so you look at teams like OKC. Yes, they picked up good, solid players in Noel, Schroeder, but you still don't know how they're going to fit with their team. And you look at teams like Washington, Dwight Howard, Jeff Green, Austin Rivers. Yes, they had some good players come into their system, into their team, but you still have to ask the questions: how will Howard fit? Will Howard fit? How will Jeff Green implement his game there? Yes, he's a solid player and can fit into any system, but you saw how he kind of didn't fit in with the Cavs, so it's not like he's just going to fit in there right away. And you look at Austin Rivers, same questions asked. And you look at other teams like the Bucks. The Bucks now, they actually are one of the teams that have did what the Pacers did. They implemented players into their system that fit well, whereas you don't really need to ask if they'll fit. Will they fit? How will the chemistry go? Like in Washington with Dwight Howard and John Wall, Bradley Beal, all those guys. So you won't really need to ask those certain questions, whereas the Pacers, it's the same thing with the Lakers as well. The Lakers, don't get me wrong, they had a great offseason too. But the question is still asked: how will they fit? Will they fit? There's so many personalities in one locker room. How will they gel? How will they work together? How will they operate their rotations, their lineups, and stuff like that? Whereas this Pacers team put together specific players in their system, on their team, to complement everyone's game. And you guys saw that last year when they played. If you guys watched this team play, the scoring was evenly distributed throughout the team. Yes, you had Oladipo at the top, but then it was like a evenly distributed amount of points and rebounds and stuff like that distributed throughout the whole team. It wasn't like Oladipo had 30, and then the next guy had like 10, and then 6, and then 4, and then it wasn't like that. It was more like he had 23, and then Miles had like, I think 14 or somewhere around there, 14, 12, and then it was like from that to I think I want to say like 7 players averaged double figures this season. So they specifically put together pieces for their team to complement each other, which they already had last season. They already had that last season, but they added more people and better players to complement everybody's game. So they took out Lance Stevenson and replaced him with a better version of himself in Tyreke Evans. And same thing, they pretty much got another version of Bojan Bogdanovic and Doug McDermott. And you picked up pretty much a combined Miles Turner, or not Miles Turner, I'd probably say a combined Thaddeus Young and Sabonis, and together in Kyle O'Quinn. So you guys put together a really nice solid offseason and bringing these guys in to have a really good solid bench and a solid starting role. And guys, it's not just who they picked up, but the lineups they can run out there. They can match up. Last year, if you watch this team play, they match up well against every single team. There was a few teams where they didn't match up well just because the length was so overwhelming to them. But now they picked up players to, well, that won't have such of an impact. And plus, they only had one true playmaker last season in Victor Oladipo. That's where Tyreke Evans and Oladipo can complement each other, along with the playmaking ability of Darren Collison and Corey Joseph to really have the discipline to not turn the ball over so many times. And that's why they were one of the few teams in the league that turned the ball over at all in the whole season. And when you add guys like Tyreke Evans and Doug McDermott, they really just have specific roles and that complement everybody's game together, like just three-point shooting, off the drive cuts, stuff like that, catch and shoot, Tyreke Evans playmaking, pick and roll, stuff like that. And you guys also know, Pacers fans out there also know, most of the Pacers points came off secondary plays, whereas like, so if Oladipo would, you know, get a pick and roll from Miles Turner, he would probably pass the ball to Miles Turner. Or if Oladipo would keep going and go to the basket, and if he would get stuck there, say he got double teamed at the paint, he could dish it off to someone, he could kick it out to, you know, Bojan Bogdanovic. That's how they got most of their points, and off that second pass. So if Collison was open, and then the guy was like stuck in between, so you know how they do the ball fake, and they usually run over to the corner, or they usually commit to the ball handler, and then they swing it to the open three. That's where they got most of their points last season. And they brought in guys that will excel at that role and just really open up everybody's game. So you really have shooters and playmakers at every position and people that can match up well. So that's why I see the Pacers having really the best offseason, because you already know how these players will fit, whereas other teams have to ask themselves questions of how they'll fit. Will the chemistry work? How will we run this lineup? What will we do here? Whereas this team is already kind of set, and that's why other teams kind of like didn't do much, or they kind of stayed the same, whereas this team really, they did both. They stayed the same and they got better, whereas other teams got better but they don't know if they got better or not. Teams like the Lakers, well, the Lakers obviously got better, and then but teams like OKC, like, you don't really know how it's going to play out yet, but then again, you still know that they're going to be a better team, but you don't know how it's going to work out there. So that's why the Lakers, OKC, Bucks, Wizards, teams like that had a good offseason. Don't get me wrong, they had a great offseason, but you still have to ask yourself the question, how will it work? Will it work? Whereas this team, this Pacers team already has that core together. They still have the same core together, much like, you know, OKC, they kept the same core together kind of, but they brought in players that are good, but you don't know how they're going to fit there. Same as, but the Bucks here, they lost a key player in Jabari Parker. That's like 15 to 18 points a game right there. Whereas maybe some points will go to Giannis Antetokounmpo this season. Maybe that'll distribute out to Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, maybe Ersan Ilyasova, Brook Lopez. So maybe the Bucks will be like a Pacers team that they were last year, where the points are more evenly distributed throughout the team. So you'll have Giannis at probably like 27, 28 points a game, and then you'll probably have Middleton at like 19, and then Bledsoe at probably 16, 17, and then you'll have the rest of the guys probably lingering around 9 to 12, maybe 14 points a game. So that's where I see the Bucks having a real up in their offseason as well. That's why the closest team that I see had the best offseason with the Pacers is probably, I mean, I want to say the Lakers, but you don't really know how they're going to fit, because everyone around the NBA is saying how they have so many personalities, but I really think they'll be a good team. Like teams like the Lakers, OKC, and the Bucks, and even the Wizards, they had a really good offseason. But then again, it comes to the same question: how will they work? Will it work? So that's why I see this Pacers team has a real advantage to really kick off the season well, finish the season strong, and maintain that throughout the whole season of being really good, really solid, matching up well with other players, having another guy Oladipo can rely on to finish out games, to start out games maybe, in some cases depending who they play. And they just have a really good depth in their bench now. Like, their bench is outstanding right now. Like, they're one of the deepest teams in the league right now, without a doubt, after this offseason. So I think they really put together a nice, because like every person on this team, besides the people that, you know, have like the two-way contracts and, you know, go in and out of the G League, even some of the rookies are able to play. So what I'm getting at is every person on this team can have big minutes. Maybe except for Alzay Johnson. TJ Leaf isn't quite there yet. He does usually play better in the NBA than he does in the Summer League and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of didn't really pay attention to his struggles in the Summer League and G League and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure he did well in G League though, but either way, I think he'll still be good in the NBA, because he does perform a lot better in the NBA than he does in the Summer League and stuff like that. So maybe he can get a few minutes in there. People are even saying that Aaron Holiday might get some big minutes in there. So I just think that, and I think Alzay Johnson can get a few minutes here and there too, especially if injuries get caught up to us. So I really like how this team put together their offseason. Their offseason was really good, and they picked up players where they didn't have to ask questions. And you saw how Nate McMillan and Kevin Pritchard, they came together and put players on their board of players who fit their system. They didn't go out and get the people that were the big names, or so to speak. Yes, they did try to get big name players, but they were big name players that fit their system. So then they didn't go out and try to get those big names just because they were a big name. They got those people that would fit their system. So at the end of the day, when they acquired those players, they didn't have to ask themselves, oh man, how are they going to fit here? Are they going to fit here? Do they fit our system? Do they fit our chemistry? Do they fit our atmosphere and what we're trying to do here? So they brought in players that are already established in their role here. So they already have an established role here once they acquire them. So they already know what to expect and what to do and how their teammates play. Because a lot of the players that came here, they said and they admitted that they watched this team throughout the season because how surprising their season was. So that's why I like the players they picked up, because they know what this team is about, they know what to do here, and they just love the environment, they love the atmosphere, the will to win every night, even when they were counted out. So that's why I feel like the Pacers had the best offseason around the league, at least one of the top 2 or 3. They definitely, in my opinion, had the best offseason in the Eastern Conference. Now, around the league, it's debatable with, OKC, the Lakers, but then again, you still have to ask that question. So that's why I still feel like the Pacers had the best offseason in the league this summer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about my take here. Pacers fans, let me know how excited you are about this upcoming season. I saw the national schedule come out and the whole 2018-19 schedule come out, so I might make a video about that too. So guys, let me know what you guys think about this take here. It's been your boy Mike, and you can let that beat drop.